Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be talking about Spring Security with AngularJS, which for that will have two applications. One is our server-side application, backend application, which basically will be using Spring-Security OAuth2, and I'll be using GitHub as our OAuth provider. And the another one is this is our front-end application. This is Angular application, AngularJS, which basically will talk to the server application for the token exchange, and all the resources basically are in that application. Okay, let's first visit the flow, how the OAuth flow looks like. So this is the Angular app, which will be running on port 4200, and the server will be running on 8080. So in the first point, user will visit the login endpoint on the Angular application, and the Angular application will redirect the user to the server using this authorization GitHub URL. So this is the Spring Security client registration name, which I've used as GitHub. And in step 3, the server will redirect the user to the GitHub page. Now here user will provide the credentials and submit the form. And in step 4, user will be redirected to the our Angular application on the basically callback URL, and that in that callback URL, code and state parameter will be included. Once the UI got both the parameter, UI will make a call, Ajax call to the server in step 5 with the same code and state parameter on this endpoint to fetch the token. And at the server in the point number 6, server will pick up the code and exchange the code with the GitHub for token. And in step 7, GitHub returns the token to the server, and step 8 is the server will return the token to the UI, and then UI will store the token in its local storage and will return the response to the UI. Okay, let's move ahead. So in the backend side, I'll focusing on few classes. One of them is called token store. This class will be used to generate the authentication object from the given token, or generate a token from the given authentication object, just to enforce. Another class is authentication success handler. I'll be using this class to send the token back to the client in JSON format. Third one is authentication entry point. This class will make sure any unauthenticated request will be returned as HTTP 401. Fourth one is course configuration source. I'll be defining a bean for course configuration. Fifth one is authorization request repository. This class holds the partial auth request objects. So you'll get to know that once we start implementing these classes. Apart from this, on the client side, we have auth guard, which basically will be used to check each request whether it's authenticated or not. The another one is header interceptor. This interceptor will put HTTP bearer token in each request. So let's start coding now. For my application, I'm using Spring Boot version 2.26. I have already created one sub project, Spring Security Angular. Let's quickly check what are the dependencies I've used. So I'm using Spring Starter Web, Security, and OAuth2 client. Now let's move ahead and start defining the OAuth2 configurations. So first I'll register the client, Spring Security OAuth2 client registration. I'll give it a name, GitHub, and client ID. I'll pick it from the environment variable, client ID. Similar for the client secret, client secret, and I need to define redirect URI. So I'll define redirect URI. to my Angular application, which basically will be running on 4200 callback. So the application, I have not created it yet, but I'll create it later. Let's start defining the security configuration. This will be a configuration class, and I'll enable web security, and we need to extend web security configure adapter. Now let's override the security config. We'll define this. So I'll exclude the auth rated URLs from the security filter chain, and login. Permit on and REST request should be authenticated. Now let's enable the OAuth2 login, and to login the authorization endpoint, and authorization request is repository. I'll be overriding this request repository. So let's say here I'm giving in memory request repository. So this class I have not created it yet, but I'll create it. Okay, this is done, and then I need to define success handler. So this success handler, what it will do, it will basically return, it will convert the authentication token to authentication object to the JWT token. So for this one, I will create one method, success handler, and it should be matched with the signature of this authentication success handler. So this should accept these parameters. I'll put these parameters here. Okay, and this success handler, and now, and the other thing, I need to define authentication entry point. And entry point, for this one I'll also define one entry point here. So this will basically handle the all the redirection. In case of an authenticated request, the request will not be redirected. Instead of that, it will return with the 401 error. Entry point, and the signature is almost same, I believe. Authentication entry point. Yep. Exception and all this. This is done. Now start defining these methods. Let's first inject the object mapper. This object mapper will be used to write JSON result. Now let's define the method. Write the implementation for this method. So the first thing we need to send the result is 401 unauthorized, and we'll send the response, get right to it. We'll write the response error message with the auth exception message. For now, this is the, this is not the good way. Maybe we can simply say just not authenticated. Just simply write mapper dot collections dot singleton map, and say error, and they say unauthenticated. Okay, okay, that should throws IO exception. Okay, now we'll define this success handler later. Before that, we'll create the class in memory request repository. So this is basically, this holds the auth request temporarily. Okay, so I'll define this class. Now let's implement the authorization request repository, and this will contain auth2 authorization request. So as of now, we'll be using the hash map just to hold the request in memory. You can define like some other approach in case of, let's say, in any cache or maybe database or HTTP session, if you are using the non-header based, or any application which uses the cookies or sessions. I'll define a map with the key. So I'll be using state parameter as a key. State parameter will be used to identify the auth2 request. So I'll name it cache. Okay. Once this is done, I'll check if request I'll simply say if request dot get parameter. Okay, this is the state parameter. If request contains the state, if state not equals to null, then I'll simply return this remove authorization request. Okay, so so by removing it, I'll pick it from the cache and I'll simply remove it. See, cache get or default, say request dot get parameter name state, or else return null. Okay, and I'll save in similar way. I'll save the authorization request with the state parameter. Get state, it has state. Cache dot put state comma authorization request. So this is complete. This will hold the all the authorization request based on state. So key is the state. Now I'll go back and I'll look for my security configuration. Let's first create the success handler part. So here I'll be simply returning just UID token for as of now, but we can we can define our custom implementation of creating our own JWT. So I'll name is token store. So what I'll do, I'll create a method with string called generate token, and I'll pass authentication object. Okay, and the another method which will basically return the authentication object from the token. Okay. Now I'm using a map here, so again it's not a good practice. You can, instead of using map, you can simply use JWT token and create the token from the authentication object in generate method, and simply create the authentication object from that JWT. But as for now, I'll be using the in-memory based token store. So I'll simply store this one. Again, I'm name is cache new. Now simply say authentication. I have authentication. What I'll do, I'll generate UID token equals to UID dot random string. Sorry, this should be string. I'll say cache dot put token in authentication object. Now I'll return the token, and in the other method I'll simply say cache dot get or default. I'll say token if token value is present, otherwise it returns null. So these two methods I'll be using in the success handler. So let's define this as a component and auto wire this class in our security config. Okay, looks like there is an error. Okay, sorry, I forgot to add a return statement. I'll add here. Have it finally token store. I need to inject this one. So in case in success handler, what I'll do, I'll use this token store to generate token. I'll pass this authentication object. Now I got the token. Once I got the token, I'll use it. I'll send back this token to the client. So I need to use getWriter dot mapper dot write values as string. I'm simply putting this in the map collection dot singleton map. Let's say access token, and token value will be token. So this is our token logic, token writing logic. Okay. Now quickly review this one. So this is my in-memory request repository. It holds the authorization request, and in remove, I forgot to remove this one, so I think I need to change this to check state if state not equals to null, then simply return cache dot remove the state key, and otherwise it will return the null. So we have done the generation of token. Now we need to add one filter here, which will basically what that filter will do. That filter will pick the token from header, and it will put the for that corresponding token, it will get the authentication object from token store and put that authentication object to the security context. So I'll say token filter, token authentication, or token filter, just simply naming it to token filter, and extends once per request filter. Now what I'll do here, I'll make this component, and I need to inject token store here. Now I'll check if the request contains the authorization. If the header contains this value, auth token. If auth token is not null, okay, what I'll do then, I'll extract the token equals to auth token dot split. I'll split it space and the first parameter. So this is not the best practice. You can apply the checks here if whether it exists or not. And at the end, I'll do filter chain dot do filter. I'll simply pass the request and response. But in the if, inside the if, what I'll do, token store get auth object from this token, and authentication is here. So authentication, if this is not null, then I'll simply put security context folder get context dot set authentication. I'll put this authentication object in the context, and I need to position this filter just before the username and password username password filter. So what I'll do, I'll inject this one here, private now token filter. This is my token filter, okay, and I'm injecting it via constructor injection. Now at the end I'll add http dot add filter before, I'll say token filter and username and password authentication filter. I'll put the filter just before this class. Now final two things to wrap up in a wrap up backend. Just add a course configuration and one endpoint. So we'll do course, and this will enable course. We need to define a bean configuration. So as of now I'll expose all the methods and I'll provide star for everything. Config dot set allowed methods. So I'll use strict here. Similar way for set allowed origin as well as the headers. And now at URL based course configuration source, and register this. So register the course config for path, everything, and return this. It's done. Now one more thing, just add one controller. This controller, and mapping would be, say, v1 home. So this will return the username, get username. So this method will return the username, get mapping. I'm using OAuth2, so here my authentication object will contain the default OAuth2 user object, and I can get the authorities from or attributes from that object directly using the authentication principle. I can use a pass expression here and use attributes name. So the the object contains the the authentication object contains attributes which contains a name with the user's name, and simply return this name, username. Okay, should close this one. That's it. Now we'll start working on UI part. For that, so I'll create one application. I'll create few components: login, callback, and one home component. I'll use an guard, auth guard, just to this for this one. For header interceptor, I'll use auth headers, auth header interceptors, and that's it, I guess. Yeah, I'll need one security service. So this part, this login component will be used to show the login button, and this callback will be, this will be called when user, user provides his credentials on the GitHub, and from GitHub user will be redirected to this callback endpoint. Home will show the user's info. This will be only accessible post login. Auth guard will intercept all the requests and check whether the user is logged in or not. If user is logged, then a request will be allowed. Otherwise, it will redirect user to the login component. Auth header interceptor will put the authentication token to the in the header. Security service will talk to the backend APIs for token APIs basically. Now I'm going to pause the video and I'll generate all the components, Angular components. Now all the components are generated. So as you can see, callback component is here, home is here, and login is here. I've generated this auth guard. So this auth guard I've generated with the can activate option only. And this is security service. I have added endpoints here, authorized endpoint as well as a token endpoint. So this will be used when user is trying to log in, and post that user will be redirected to the GitHub page. And this is the URL, which is token endpoint, which basically will make the API call to the backend with the code and state parameters. Now let's quickly define the base URL for the application. Base URL will be my a server will be running on a port 880. This is, so okay, I'll also define it for prod. Now this is the base URL. Base URL. Okay, now let's define two methods. So first, login method. In case of login, what I'll do, I'll simply reload the URL. I'll open the URL, base URL plus authorized endpoint. So this will become my authorized endpoint, and I'll open the same window. I'll also define a key for token key for local, to store the token into local storage. Okay, and method update token provided, then it will store the token into local storage. Set item, key name would be token key, and the token would be token. Now the another one, fetch token will accept code and state. So this returns observable. I need to inject HTTP. Client, and make get API call. So the URL would be base URL plus token endpoint. and the query string. State parameter here, and I'll return this one. Okay, and I need one method called get token. This will return the token from local storage. Get item token key, and one more method just to check whether user is logged in or not. So get token and return token not equals to null. So this is return type is boolean. Okay, so we have these methods. So in around, just go to the auth guard. Let's start define a constructor and inject the security service. And use here if start security service is logged in. If user is already logged in, then return true. Otherwise return false and redirect the user to the login page. So I need one router here, need to inject router here, and this router navigate to login path. So these paths, I have not defined these paths yet. Let's start defining them. Go to the app routing module and create paths for home, path home component is home component, and you need to use can activate. Here you need to use auth guard. So this will be, so any of the requests which you want to filter out with the security, or you want to check whether user is logged in or not, just use can activate, or there's another variation called can activate child. So in this project I'm only demonstrating can activate. Other one is path login component is login component. For that we don't need auth guard because login component should be publicly open. The other one is callback component is callback component, and the default path. So use path. I'll redirect it to home. Default path match full. These are the routing. Also need to define. Okay, go to auth app module. Need to import HTTP client module, and providers choose provide HTTP interceptors, and use class my auth header interceptor and LT true. So this interceptor will be used for each request. Basically this will put the token in the header. I'll start defining this header interceptor. So I need to inject a security service here. Okay, what I'll do, I'll use another request, const request. I'll create a duplicate from this one, clone, and let's set headers, content type would be application JSON, and application JSON, and authorization bearer plus security service dot get token. That's it. And here we'll replace this with our overridden object. Now it's time to implement all the methods. So for home, we'll place hello. We'll get name from the backend. Hello, welcome Spring and your application. Let's go here. We need to inject HTTP client name here, and on start this dot HTTP. Okay, dot get. I'll use the environment base URL plus the URL which we have created in, I think that's home, or let's quickly check here. I guess that's home. Yeah, even home. And subscribe data here. This dot name equals to data dot, what is it? Okay, I think we should change it. Change the endpoint. Should written the map of string and return collections dot singleton map with name, key, and username as value. Here I'll do name. Okay, this home component will print the name of the user. Now let's go to the login component. Okay, here it will show the button with text login, and let's create a method, login method, and inject the security service and here what we'll do security service dot login method, and from here I'll use click log. That's it. Callback. Now we have to implement callback. So what we'll do, whenever user is trying to log in on GitHub, the user will be redirected to our Angular API. Okay, and here we need to catch the code and state parameter. So we'll inject active route and router and security service. Let's quickly check what we do. Okay, on this dot root query params subscribe param. Here what we are going to do, we'll get the state and code, and we'll invoke the security service fetch token. So fetch token p.code and p.state. We'll pass here. We'll subscribe here, and once we get the token, what we will do is dot security service dot update token data dot access token. Let's check what is the name of our key. What is the name of our access token key? Security config. So inside success handler, yep, we have used success token, access token, sorry. Yeah, we'll use the same. So we'll call the update token. Once that's done, okay, once the update token is done, then what we'll do, we'll redirect the user to the home page. This dot router dot navigate to home endpoint. That's it. So what we are doing here, whenever this callback endpoint is invoked, we expect code and state parameter. Once we get these parameters, we'll invoke the fetch token method. Once we fetch the token, we'll update the token, which means we are saving the token in the local storage, and then we are redirecting to the home page. Okay, and in home page, user should see the user's name, this name, the text. Okay, let's quickly check. This is security service is done, and app routing app module. Yep, we have configured enough. Let's run the application. Let's run the application from here. Okay, I'll quickly show you the GitHub. Okay, I'm using this OAuth app. This is a client ID and secret which I have configured in the in the environment variable. So I'll quickly check. Yep, it's configured. The callback URL is 40200 and callback. Let's run the application. I'll pause here. Now all the applications are running. Initially it was causing an error in Angular, so I had to change this to I have to move this code into a method. Now it's running. Let's go and open the application. Go host for home. We'll open home. As you can see, it's redirected to login. So it means our auth guard is working. Now hit login. Okay, it's asking for permission. Authorize this to. Oops, failed. Looks like the course issue. Let's quickly open the security config. Not this one. Config inside our application and check whether we have defined a bean. Bean is here, and this is also. Oh, bean name should be source. Course configuration source. Now let's start the backend application, and it should work now. Login. As you can see, we are jump over to callback, and that's it. Yep, we moved to home and we got the hello Jitendra string best. This is my name, and let's check the request, home request. This was the home request, and let's check the header token. Yep, this is the token. Now let's check the token in local storage. We should see a token with the name. Yep, that's it, the small token. That's the name of our key. That's it, guys. Hope you like this video. I'll put all the resources and source code link into the description. Yep, thank you.